Hello students, my name is Ms. Priya Lanka and today we are going to study class 12 business studies chapter number 4 planning. Planning is nothing but the first function of management which actually bridges the gap between the present and the future. For every course of action that exists within an organization, planning helps us to identify where exactly we seek ourselves after a period of time or at a future period of time. So this is what is planning. Let us now understand the meaning of planning. Planning basically is to decide in advance what to do and how to do it. It means that you need to identify all activities that need to be performed within an organization as well as the ways and means through which you're going to perform these activities. Of course, planning is closely connected with creativity and innovation because it is a mental exercise. Even before the activity has been performed, you need to identify how exactly you foresee that activity has to be done at a future course of time. So that involves a lot of creativity and a lot of innovative methods. And why innovation is given importance at the time of planning? Because when we talk about optimum utilization of resources or when we are trying to cut down the cost or the time factor, we need to bring about more and more innovative practices so that we can save these resources. Planning also bridges the gap between where we are and where we want to be. And how it is done, it involves setting of objectives for a given period of time, and then you develop appropriate courses of action to achieve these objectives. Now give you a interesting example. Now suppose you are sitting at one place and you decide to go to a destination. Let us say you want to visit somebody's house. Now that destination, actually, if you take in the terms of an organization or how you want to go or where exactly you want to be at a specified period of time, becomes your objective. Now in order to reach your objective, there are various courses of action that could be taken into consideration. Now even for a destination, let us say you're starting from point A and you want to go to point B. Now even to reach from point A to point B, there might be many different routes that you can take. But planning basically involves to identify the best of those courses of action which will quickly and or the best possible way you can reach to point B. Planning also is concerned with both the ends and the means, which means that it has to identify what has to be done as well as how the work has to be done. We will now be able to appreciate why planning has been taken into consideration as the first function of management once we understand the importance of planning in an organization. Now, like I said, planning has to be done at each and every level, at each and every time period, and it is a continuous process. So let us understand what is the importance of planning as the function of management. Planning provides direction. Now we have already seen that the first or the most important aspect of planning is to set up objectives, or you have to identify your goals, or you have to calculate the destination, whichever name you want to give it. Basically, you need to identify where exactly you are going and what exactly you are planning to do in that particular direction. So once the goals or the objectives have been clearly stated, not only for the organization but also for each and every individual who is participating in the organization, then firstly it gives a sense of action and direction to the tasks that are being performed. And secondly, there is some kind of coordination which is brought about in all the functions. Now let us suppose that in an organization there are 10 people, and apart from the organizational goals and objectives, each of these 10 people have been given their own set of goals that they need to, or the targets that they need to achieve. So what basically happens is, if all of them start working in compliance with the entire objectives of the organization, then somewhere it becomes a coordinated or a unified effort. Planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. This happens because planning enables to anticipate the changes. When you're already trying to peek into the future, then somewhere you're also trying to identify what all the changes that might occur in the future. So once you have done that, then what basically happens is you develop your response towards these changes. So you're actually preparing yourself for any kind of uncertainty that might occur. That means whatever are the probable occurrences that can happen in future, you are identifying that through planning, and also your response or how you're going to handle all those changes will be developed through planning. Planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. Now, through planning, you can actually coordinate the efforts of different divisions, departments, and individuals. Now, each and every individual who belongs to a particular department or a particular division has already identified the work or the task he has to perform through planning, because planning is nothing but giving him in a platter the blueprint of the actions or the courses of actions that need to take place in an organization. So once everything is clear, then there is a lesser confusion or misunderstanding, and also at the same time work is carried on smoothly and unnecessary work is removed. With proper planning, inefficiencies can also be detected and rectified. Planning facilitates decision making. Once you have identified the targets that you need to achieve, once you are involved in predicting the future conditions or the changes or the courses of action that need to occur in order for you to achieve your organizational goals and objectives, then automatically you will start taking rational decisions which will ultimately facilitate the decision making. So quick decision making can be done through proper planning. Planning promotes innovative ideas. Because a large portion of planning as a function involves to think about the future courses of action and decide what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, then all those who are involved in the development of these plans can come up with newer ideas and innovative methods of performing those tasks. Now think about any activity that you need to perform. Let us say you want to paint a picture, something as simple as that. If you have been given proper time to think what you are going to paint, what all are the color combinations that you are going to use, and what all designs you are going to implement, then what you can do is actually enhance your creativity and your innovative methods of performing that task. And this is exactly what planning does. It guides all the future actions leading to the growth and prosperity of business organization. Planning establishes standards for controlling. Now, during the course of planning as the function of management, the goals that are provided are actually the standards that need to be achieved. That means all those people who are involved in making of the plans which will be useful for the entire organization, they have set certain standards keeping in mind their business organization and all other factors that influence the business organization. Also, at the same time, in case of any deviation, corrective action can be taken. That is why it is said that planning is a prerequisite for controlling. What is controlling? Controlling is to identify the deviation from the standard that happens within an organization for each and every task that is being performed. So what is that standard? Now this standard is something which is established during planning. The nature of corrective action required always depends on the extent of deviations from the standard. Now, if there are minute deviations, a little plus minus here and there, maybe they might not involve huge changes. But if you see constantly that the deviations are actually affecting the performance of the organization, then maybe certain more drastic corrective action can be taken. Let us now see how planning as a function of management behaves in any organization, or how we can very well define as the features of planning. Planning focuses on achieving objectives. Once the objectives or the goals of an organization have been clearly defined, then the main purpose of planning is to contribute towards the achievement of these predetermined organizational goals. That means all actions further are going to be redirected in achieving these objectives or goals. Planning is the primary function of management because it lays down the base for all other managerial functions to be performed. That means whether we talk about organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, all other functions have their basis that begin from planning. It is also referred as primacy. The word primacy basically means primary nature, or the first thing that comes up when we talk about the functions. The other functions are interrelated and equally important, but planning is the basis for all these functions to be performed. Planning is pervasive, which means that it is required in all levels and all departments of management. Only the scope or the extent of planning will change from one level to other, but otherwise it has to be performed by each and every individual department and the organization as a whole. Now, if you just look what kind of planning will be done by different levels, when you talk about the top level management, they basically look into the planning for the whole organization. The middle level will generally look at the departmental planning, and the lower level will look into the operational planning or the planning which includes day-to-day activities. Planning is a continuous process. The plans that are made, they are generally for a specified period of time, a day, month, quarter or a year. Now, after that period, new plans are made on the basis of new requirements and future conditions. That means planning as such is cyclical in nature. If you look at the picture, you will see that plans are framed, they are implemented, they are reviewed, and further they are revised. And again, which leads to the first step, that is, plans are framed again. Planning is futuristic. Basically, the future events and conditions are forecasted, and based on them, plans are made. And the entire purpose of planning is to meet all these future events effectively. That means the best way is identified in order to approach these futuristic events. Planning involves decision making. Now, when we started the discussion about what basically planning is, we saw that once the objectives are set, that means where you want to reach after a certain period of time, once that is predetermined, then various alternatives are worked out in order to reach the destination in the best possible method, that is effectively and efficiently. Now, for this, what basically happens is all the alternatives or the various courses of action are closely studied and the most appropriate one is chosen. If only one goal or one course of action was there, then obviously there would have been no planning at all. But because there are multiple courses of action for the same task, so it is very important to plan so that the best one out of those alternative solutions can be taken into consideration. Planning is a mental exercise. Now, like we were just discussing, what all types of planning that occurs at various levels of management. Now, at each and every level, the individuals who are associated with that particular level of planning, they have to have a lot of foresight, they have to have a lot of intelligent imagination and sound judgment. Imagination so that the best creative output can be thought of, and sound judgment because amongst all the alternative courses of action, you choose the best possible one. Also, it requires logical and systematic thinking based on analysis of facts and forecasts. Based on the previous knowledge, based on your ability to forecast into the future or look into the future or peek into the various courses of action that exist, it is very important that the manager who is involved in planning has sound judgment and has logical and systematic thinking. Even though when we talk about planning as a function of management, and we see that after understanding even the minutest of details and closely observing all the future events that can happen, planning is done in any organization. But in spite of all that, there are certain unforeseen events, for example, rise in costs and prices, certain environmental changes, certain government interventions, legal regulations, which will have some kind of effect on the business plans that have been previously determined. So, keeping all these aspects into consideration, let us now look at the limitations of planning. Planning leads to rigidity. Once the plans have been formulated, it may not be possible for anybody to change them so easily. And the managers need to be flexible to cope up with the changing circumstances. So just imagine a scenario where the plans have already been derived and there are certain changes which are happening in the environment which will force the managers to be flexible and cope up with the changes. Then what will happen? Following the old plans may then not give the desired results. That is why somewhere it leads to rigidity. Planning may not work in a dynamic environment. We already saw that the environment for any business organization has got various dimensions. We talked about the political dimension, social dimension, technological, legal. There are various dimensions which affect a business organization either individually or at large. That is, all the industries in the entire country. So, when these dimensions of the environment are constantly changing, it is very difficult to assess the future so correctly. And at this point, planning cannot foresee everything. Therefore, it leads to certain obstacles in the process of planning. Like I said, planning is just the function, and what is derived out of planning are the plans. So somewhere it is very difficult to foresee everything in future because things are constantly changing. Planning reduces creativity. Now, we saw earlier that the top level management creates the plans and the middle level or the operational level management will execute these plans. The circumstances based on which the top level management decides the plans may not be similar to the circumstances faced by the middle level management and the lower level management. That is why they cannot justify, that is, the middle level cannot justify benefits derived from the plans. Maybe the top level management, when they were deriving these plans or when they were formulating these plans, they had something else in their mind. And because the managers who are there at the middle level and the operational level are merely executing, they cannot use their imagination or their creativity to implement those plans. They have to just follow orders. So that is why it is also important that the viability of the plans must be checked before finalizing. And an ideal situation will be when the top level management and a representative from the middle level management and of course the operational level management, they all sit together and then they formulate plans. Planning is time consuming. It is not easy for whosoever is involved in the making of plans to come out with the best possible course of action within a short period of time. A lot of time is involved to formulate the plans, and sometimes the time taken to formulate the plans is actually higher than the implementation of these plans. Planning involves huge costs. Huge costs are involved, like for example checking the accuracy of the facts for scientific calculations, and there are also incidental costs like you have meetings, discussions and any kind of investigations that need to be performed in order to devise a particular plan. So that is why a lot of cost is involved even from the point of view from the management, wherever the process of planning or to derive a particular or to come up with a good plan based on which all the other functions can be performed in an organization. Planning does not guarantee success. Now, in order to perform a particular task, let us presume that the top level management did a lot of brainstorming and formulated certain plans. Now, based on those plans, the actions or the work was defined for the entire organization, and let us presume for 1 year that it continued to do so. Does it mean that by application of the same plan again and again it will guarantee success? No, it is not necessary at all. Planning just may lead to some kind of complacency and false sense of security among the management, because they may think that just because it has worked in the past, it will also work in the future, but it might not necessarily be true. Now, keeping all these limitations in mind, we still have to do this function of management because planning is not a useless exercise. It is a tool to be used with caution. Now, this statement is very important, and always remember that irrespective of the limitations of planning that exist in any organization, this function of management is imperative and it has to be performed at all levels of management and at a continuous as a continuous process. We have already seen that planning actually is not a single time event and it is a continuous process. That means it is cyclical in nature. Let us now try to understand what exactly constitutes the planning process. First step is setting objectives. Now, objectives specify what needs to be achieved. Now this could be at the level of the organization as a whole, or at the level of the departments, or even at the individual level. That means at the time of planning, the minutest of details or the minutest of objectives need to be set. That means for individuals, how their objectives should be, or as a team in the form of a department, how they have to set up their objectives. All these have to be quickly analyzed. Also, how the departments will contribute to achieve these goals is made at this stage. The objectives have to be clearly stated for the departments, units, and employees. That means what the organization is trying to achieve through their individual tasks has to be clearly told to the employees at this stage. Second step, developing premises. Now, premises are nothing but those assumptions that are made about the future. Now, these assumptions or the premises, what we call, act as the base material to draw the plans or to formulate the plans. Now this base material can be in the form of forecast, existing plans, or past information. And at the time of developing these premises, or when you are actually formulating these assumptions, it should be agreeable by all those who are directly or indirectly responsible for the formulation of the plans. Step 3, identifying alternate courses of action. At this stage, all the ways to achieve the objectives must be checked. Obviously, like I said, if you are at a beginning point and you have an end point to go to, then there might be various ways in which you can reach your destination. So you need to analyze all those ways to achieve the objective. Now this could be in routine manner or can be innovative in nature. And also, all the members who are deciding upon these courses of action have to discuss and finally come to the conclusion. Step 4, evaluating alternative courses. Now, in this step, the pros and cons of each alternative is calculated and it is properly and carefully weighed upon. Now, the alternatives are evaluated in the light of their feasibility and consequences. That means each alternative, whether it is feasible to be performed, and it is not, because we are already using innovative methods, it cannot be random in nature. We have to check the feasibility, whether it can be achieved at all, and also if it is implemented, then what will be the overall consequence. And based on those consequences, you can identify whichever is the best alternative that you might want to choose. Step 5, selecting an alternative. Now this step is actually the most crucial part of the entire planning process because it is the real point of decision making. It is in this step that the best plan has to be adopted and implemented. Now based on all the calculations that was done previously, the ideal plan is selected. Now ideal plan is one which is most feasible, maximum profitable and least negative consequences. Now for selecting the ideal plan, a lot of mathematical analysis and the manager's experience, judgment, intuition, all these factors play a very important and integral role. Step 6, implement the plan. Now at this part, all the other managerial functions come into action. That means now you have developed the plan, now you have to organize it, now you have to direct it or delegate it, and you have to finally identify the controlling aspect of it. That means all other functions of management will come into action at this particular stage of implementing the plan. Now this is the step where the plans are actually put into action. Now till this point we were only having it as a mental activity, but implementing the plan, which will become now it will be a part of the physical activity. Step 7 is the follow-up action, which is also very important because at this stage we have to check whether the plans are performed as per schedule. Now at the time of developing a plan, now the plan has been made, the blueprint is now existing, but it is also important that whosoever is delegating the plan to the other levels, and once he or she has been clearly told as to what the plan is, then this step will help to check whether whatever has been told, is it what being done actually, or is there any deviation, or is there any changes that is being made. And if there are any changes in the implementation of the plan, this is the point where all the checks can be done. Now we saw that after a lot of brainstorming and after a lot of insight, a lot of forecasting, a lot of planning, and a lot of analyzing and quantitative analysis, plans are generated in any organization. Now let us try to understand what all are these plans, because so far we have been telling that the plans are nothing but blueprints, but what all are the type of blueprints that exist, we are going to now discuss in the types of plans. Objectives. These are the desired future position that the management wants to reach to. Like I said, whenever we are starting the journey of an organization, wherever you are, there is a certain destination that each and every management has in their minds, even before the the process of the organization has started. So that end destination becomes your objective. It is the end result of all the activities that you seek to perform. These objectives are usually set by the top level management and they focus on the broad and general issues. And also they become a guide for overall business planning. Also understand that the objectives have to be expressed in specific terms and must be in the form of written statement of desired results within a given time period of time. Now, for example, whenever, even for your academic purposes, whenever you want to identify what is an objective, like if I say that, okay, fine, this year I have done, let us say, X amount of sales, I have received X amount of sales review, and in the upcoming year I want a 10% increase in my sales revenue. So that becomes an overall objective, because that is what you seek to increase in the overall 1 year of analysis that you're doing. Strategy. It is a comprehensive plan that includes determining long-term objectives, adopting a particular course of action, and allocating necessary resources. Now, in my example, I always say that if you are beginning from point A and you have to reach point B, that is your destination, the route that you take will always become your strategy. Which route, which is the best possible route, probably that will be, which will lead to achievement of your objectives, which will make sure that you are allocating the proper resources and you are optimally utilizing them. So all that specified route becomes your strategy. Now these strategies are often affected by the dimensions of business environment that we had recently learned. Some major strategic decisions will include whether the organization will continue the same line of business, the market position, all these. So these are strategical analysis, because somewhere this will help us identify the route towards achieving our objectives. Policy. These are general statements that guide thinking towards a particular direction. Now, whenever an organization is set up, there is certain preconceived notion that the top level management has. Now, this has to be properly told to all the individuals. Now, this can be done through policies. And once the policies are specified, they act as guides to managerial action and decisions in implementing the strategies. Because somewhere they actually give a kind of a statement to the mental thought process of why and how the actions have to be performed in an organization. So whatever the top level management has thought, that can be easily told to all the levels of the organization through the policies. Now, policy exists for all levels and departments, and they define the broad parameters within which a manager may function. Procedure. These are the routine steps on how to carry out all the activities and the various activities. That means the procedure has to be told for each and every activity that is being conducted in any organization. They also specify the chronological order of work to be performed. Like I said, if there are certain steps that need to occur in an organization, so there is a step A, step B, so this chronological order is told through the procedures. The sequence of steps enforce a policy and attain predetermined objectives. That means the sequence or the chronological order in which the procedures are kept, they will help to implement the policy and help in achieving the objectives. Policies and procedures are interlinked. That means the procedure will tell exactly the step-by-step ways in which the policy can be understood as well as acted upon, such that you achieve the predetermined objectives. Method. It provides prescribed ways or manner in which a task has to be performed. That means one step of a procedure is dealt with, and how this step has to be performed is clearly specified in that particular method. Now, like I said, let us say in an organization there are 5 steps that need to be performed. That means there is step A, step B, step C, D, E. Now, how will step A be performed? How is it, how methodically it has to be performed will be given in the method. Now, these methods may vary from task to task, and selection of proper method helps to save time, money and effort, and thus increases the efficiency. Rule. These are specific statements that inform what is to be done. Now, like I said, there is certain organizational climate that exists within each and every organization. Now, how the top level management perceives that the actions have to be performed is clearly specified in the policies so that it can be understood by all. At the same time, these rules are also formulated to ensure that all the compulsory actions are taken into consideration, and each and every employee knows that they have to follow these rules. The rules do not allow any kind of flexibility or discretion, and also they cannot be changed unless and until there is a policy decision in itself. That means they are specified, and also another thing is there is some kind of negative impact or punishment which is attached with the rule. That means if the rules are not followed, then you may be liable to undergo certain punishment or certain negative impact. Now, this is very important, and this becomes the major difference between policies and rules. Programs. These are detailed statements about a project which outlines the objectives, policies, procedures, rules, tasks, human and physical resources required, and the budget to implement. Now, like we said, in an organization, all the tasks that are performed are continuous in nature. Now, when we talk about a program, the program will include during a specified period of time all that functions, all the objectives, and all that exists within a particular time frame. It includes the entire range of activities and the policies, and even the minutest of details are worked out through this program. Now, this kind of program schedule is very important when you talk about huge industries where multiple tasks are happening. A detailed schedule will help to understand what all are happening at various levels, and thus coordination and collaboration becomes easier. Budget. These are statements of expected results expressed in numerical terms. That means budgets are nothing but all the financial aspect that puts into consideration the activities of an organization and is prepared beforehand. That is, before an activity is performed, a budget is provided. It quantifies future facts and figures. That means a budget is prepared keeping in mind all the future events and the figures also. That means the number and the amount of activity that has to be performed. Budget is a control device to take care of deviations. Like I said, it is prepared, the financial statement or whatever the monetary aspect is prepared beforehand so that it can help to make sure that we stay within those limits. Now, generally we associate budget with numbers and figures in the financial aspect, but any other kind of numerical term can be expressed through budgets.